Welcome, Internet family, to this episode of Love Chose You, a celebration of marriage. In this episode, we are going to talk to you about how to be sexually attractive to your spouse. Yes? This episode is going to talk to you about sex in marriage. Stay with us. We have some information for you. We'll be right back.
Free clothes, free education, free electronics, free food, free everything. Can you afford free? Get free products for yourself. Give away free products to others. Get paid. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Visit our websites. Your pocket will thank you.
Welcome back. This is a very big issue, and we could not possibly cover it in the few minutes that we have here. But we're going to try to cover some very important issues here about sex and marriage so that you have an idea of what to expect, those of you who are not married, and what to expect, those of you who are married. I want you to keep this in mind. No one sits down to a table to eat a meal if they are full. If your spouse is not happy with you sexually, then they may be inclined, if their character is not strong, and if they have not sat down with you to tell you exactly what it is they like sexually and don't like, they may go and get a meal elsewhere. And you definitely do not want that in your marriage. Women, I'm about to tell you something that you need to keep in mind throughout the entire course of your marriage. Your job is to wear your husband out so that he has no energy, no desire, no intention, and no need to go anywhere else looking for what he wants sexually. You've got to have a talk to them about it. And men, your job is to let them wear you out. You don't want your man going anywhere else but being with you, and you need to know what his needs are and what he likes. He needs to know what you like in order so you can satisfy each other sexually. That's one of the reasons you got married. It's not the main reason you got married, but it's one of the reasons you got married. You have to make sure that you guys take the time to be together sexually. And it shouldn't be rushed time. Sometimes it can be rushed. Sometimes those are the most intense and interesting. You know, something real quick. But you have to take the time to be with each other sexually so that you can satisfy each other. Now, men, this is something that I don't want you to forget. Don't expect your wife to be all over you if you're a brute and you've got no manners and you're uncouth, and you expect her to be all lovey-dovey and expect her to act very sexual towards you, and you just don't have any kind of manners, or you just have no kind of couth at all. There's some things that you need to do, men, and you will find that your wife will not be able to keep her hands off of you. Number one, you need to be affectionate. You need to be affectionate at all times, in all situations, in all ways. Love your wife and give her as much love as you possibly can. Privately and publicly, if you're not too comfortable with that, but make sure that she knows that you love her. You got to talk to your wife. I don't mean talk at her. You got to have conversation with her. We're going to deal with these 5 things separately on a whole video on each one. But right now, you got to talk to her. And now you got to make sure that you're listening to what she says, as well as she's listening to you, but that you're listening to what she says and provide the input that she needs based on the conversation that you're having. You got to be honest with her. Keep as few secrets as you possibly can. Let her know how you feel. Let her know what's going on with you. Talk. You know, sometimes we come in and we don't want to talk, or we're doing something, we're busy. We don't want to talk, or we don't want to be honest with our wives, because we feel, well, we don't need to tell them what's going on with my business, or we don't need to. You got to be honest with her at all levels and in all situations as much as is possible, and you should find out what that is. what your wife can handle. She can handle anything that you give her because she wants to share your experience. So be as honest with her as you possibly can. You got to provide adequate financial support. If you don't have any money, it's a big part of marriage. You got to be able to bring the money in, be able to do what you have to do, take care of the family, take care of your responsibilities financially. And you've got to be committed to her and to your children if you have them. You've got to have a strong family commitment to make the family know they're loved. They're number one in your book. And you'll take time for them anytime. You've got to make sure that they know that you're committed. Your wife has to know that you're committed to her. If you do those 5 things, man, you will find that your wife will not be able to keep her hands off of you. And you have to say, well, I need a break, right? But her job is to wear you out. And if you don't understand what I'm about to tell you, then you'll never understand anything. Sex happens in your head long before it ever happens in the bed. That's why the scriptures say that if you look at a woman to lust at her, you've already committed adultery with her because you've already done it in your mind and your brain doesn't know the difference. So you and your wife have to have this sexual chemistry that's going in your head long before, because how long do you actually have a sexual relationship? How long do you have intercourse? It may be, I don't know how long you have it, but it doesn't last as long. The intensity is matched by what happens before. So you have to be ready at all times to make sure that your head is into it long before you even get to the bedroom. Find out what your spouse's sexual schedule is and try to match it. Men are usually on a 3-day schedule. 3 days they have, good, sexual relations with their wife. They usually, need a couple of days. If you're younger, you need less time. If you're older, you might need more time. But you need to be in tune with your wife, and your wife needs to be in tune with you. Wife, find out when your husband's sexual schedule is, and make sure, again, that you wear him out. So he doesn't even want or have any intention of going anywhere else, and you don't want to put that to the test. You want to make sure that your man is well satisfied, and he wants to make sure that you're well satisfied as well. Again, find out what your spouse likes sexually. As long as it's not violating you spiritually, personally, or physically, the marriage bed is not defiled. Once you guys can agree on what it is you like and what it is you don't like, and you keep that, going, then you'll be okay. Nobody can come into your bedroom and tell you what to do or what not to do. But you need to know, what do I like? How do I like to kiss? How do I like this? How do I like that? I don't need to get too explicit here because you understand what it is I'm meaning. And you know why you have to do that? Because if you don't do it, somebody else will do it. Let me ask you something. If your spouse, if you want your women, if your husband wants you to dress up, then dress up. Suppose he wants you to dress like, in Victoria's Secrets or in Fredericks or Hollywood or what. There's nothing wrong with that. He sees that all the time. He doesn't have to buy any magazine to see it. He goes online. He goes to the mall. He goes on the train. He sees the Victoria's Secret models all the time. You want him to be thinking about a Victoria's Secret model? He asks you to put on something, put it on. Man, if your wife asks you to do something, do it. Now, I'm talking about this in the bedroom. I'm not talking about you going out in the street and dressing inappropriately at any time. You do not want to do that. That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm saying in your bedroom, if he wants you to put something on, go get some stuff that he's never seen before. You know why? Because that's what the mistress does. That's what the prostitute does. God forbid your husband is doing that. But that's what they do. They do whatever is going to please the man that is with them at the time that he's with them. They'll buy whatever. They'll do whatever. So you have to be in a mindset to do that as well. When you met your husband or you got married, you were dating or whatever. Hopefully you didn't have premarital intercourse, and that's another issue. But now that you're married, you have to be able to explore each other. That's what the Lord gave it to you for, so that you can do that, and you provide the fantasy for your husband, so he doesn't have time, space, energy, or anything else to fantasize about anybody else. You be the fantasy. You do what is necessary in order to keep your husband interested in you. You need to look, smell, act, Be loving all the time. And here's something that is really important to do, is you got to have these little signals that you have, no matter where you are, so that your husband knows when he gives you, or he knows when you give him this signal, or whatever it is you guys have worked out, that when you guys get together, it's on. We're going to get busy because he knows, yeah, okay, I got the signal. We out here, we out there, and he's gotten the signal, and he knows that things are going to jump off when you guys get together. You understand that there's a warfare going on? Do you understand that Satan is trying to put his foot in your marriage at any possible way he can? That's what he's trying to do. And you've got to ward that off. And this is where most marriages fail. Right? Now, not to say all the time, but this is where most marriages fail. And you've got to be able to make sure that you can handle this, and that all the passion is not going out of your life. You guys were passionate before, so you got to keep the passion going. You got to make sure that that excitement is there, because it's necessary in order for your marriage to stay at a high level. And we guarantee you that if you don't do it, somebody is watching your spouse right now. It doesn't matter how old they are or how young they are. It doesn't matter whether they're in a wheelchair. Somebody has their eye on your spouse. And you've got to be sharp in this area and make sure you take care of business, so you know and understand what you're dealing with. Because you don't want time and or opportunity to present itself, and now all of a sudden you're dealing with a situation that you never thought or never wanted to deal with in the first place. Men, the women, let me tell you this about men, and we're going to close this up. Men want to feel young. They want to make sure, now listen to what I'm saying, they want to make sure that they can get a strong erection. If your husband is more concerned about feeling young than looking young, if he knows he can get a strong erection with you, your husband is happy, and that's what you want, because you don't want him to say, well, man, I can't get an erection. I got to go out and see whether or not I still have it. That's what happens sometimes. Things are the same, or you get into a routine, or things are never changed up, or you never do things and you get into a routine, and you got to go test himself out to see whether or not he still has it. And that's natural for a man, but you don't want that happening. Women would much rather look good than feel good. That's why you see some women will go buy shoes that are killing their feet. But if they look good, but they physically feel bad, they'll feel good. I can't explain that, but that's really just the way it is. So you have to make sure that you understand the difference between a man and women. Men want to feel young. They want to feel as though they still got it, no matter how old they are. As a matter of fact, the older we get, the younger it is we want to feel. And you've got to keep that in mind. Last thing I want to say here, you must plan for the unplanned. You must make things so that they never know what to expect. Your husband never knows what to expect from you. He never knows what you're going to wear. He never, don't always wear the same thing to bed. Don't always do, be routine. Make your hair different. Make yourself look attractive. Men, you got to do the same thing. We're going to deal with a whole video on attractiveness and what you need to do there. But you want to make sure that you look as good as possible, that the sexual excitement and the sexual energy is there. If you do this, if you follow what we're trying to share with you here, you will find that your spouse will come home to you every single night. No exceptions in there whatsoever. Okay? We thank you for being with us this episode and for sharing these topics. The next topic that we're going to share with you when we come back next week is I love my wife, and I most definitely do. So thanks for joining us. God bless. And remember, you are chosen.